Christopher De Santiago with Sports Illustrated's MMA Knockout. Here today with Big Ben Rothwell, a 17-fight UFC veteran challenging for the BKFC heavyweight title at BKFC Knuckle Mania 5. Big Ben, how's it going today, man?
It's going great, thank you.
Awesome, man. How do you feel about fighting in Philly in the middle of January? I hear it's very cold around that time.
Well, I am from Wisconsin. If you didn't know, it's pretty cold here too. So I'm a northern guy, so I'm used to it. Philly, it's going to be, might be a little bit warmer than it is here, honestly. But I know it'll be cold. It's East Coast, so I'm used to it. I'm more looking for how hot the arena is going to be, though. It might be cold outside, but at 20,000 people sold out Wells Fargo Arena, I think it's going to be a hot night. That crowd loves fighting, and I'm ready to give them a show.
For sure, man. And I saw that Eddie Alvarez and Jeremy Stevens, they did a face-off on the Rocky steps. Are you a big fan of the Rocky movies coming into this fight?
I watched them. It's kind of like a part of fighting history. Sylvester Stallone put quite the story of how he put the whole thing together and how that script made him. And it's a hell of a story. And I think it's one of those things. It's just one of those movies that are like timeless.
Most definitely, man. And I like that you guys had a face-off. It was kind of like a WWE style face-off where you kind of come from the shadows. What did you like take away from that face-off? How cool was that?
I'm super happy they're trying stuff like that. I thought it was cool, like way just to introduce the fight instead of having us at the press conference that was on Tuesday. Kind of like, oh, here's some fighters that are fighting at the card. They waited till that following Friday, and then me and Mick come out to promote the co-main event. I thought it was something different. It was kind of a way to talk about the fight all week long instead of just like a one-day thing. It was kind of like all week long. So I've seen a lot of people liked it, and then some people are sad with that. Oh, that was very WWE. I'm like, no, that was the BKFC. Like, this is real. Like, there's nothing scripted about what's going to happen between me and Mick. So make no mistake, like I got in there and I got in his face. There was nothing, nothing fake about that.
Most definitely, man. And it definitely makes the BKFC a lot different from the other promotions. It's its own, sport basically. I guess how long have you known about this fight with Mick?
Fight got put together, actually confirmed, relatively close to that. We were in talks like for months. You know what I mean? Like after my April fight, Mick and I squared off. So Mick and I kind of were like, all right, we're doing this. And the promotion kind of told us, hint us, like, yeah, we're going to do it. We're going to do it. But, nothing's done, until it's done. So here we are. Now, once I saw us on the poster, and I'm like, okay, this is happening. Like that was a big thing. And it was like once I got there and got in front of Mick and Mick, and David Feldman announced it that night. Then it was like, okay, this is happening.
What do you make of Mick as a personality as well as a fighter, man? What are you kind of getting from him like weeks out from this fight?
Personality, not much of anything. He talks like he has shit in his mouth. We can't hardly understand him ever. He does. He admits to me he hates the camera. Hates doing interviews. He looked really nervous when we did that promo. Everybody's like, "Oh, he's scared." I'm like, "That had nothing to do with us as fighters. He just doesn't like talking in front of people. He gets very nervous. That's not for everybody. Me, I've been doing this a long time where I'm fine with it. I was just in my zone, trying to do the best I can to sell it. I enjoy doing interviews and talking in front of people. It's not a big deal. It's just not his thing. Comes fight night, and all that stuff goes out the window. That doesn't really matter. It's about our skills. And as far as skills goes, he's got the belt because he's beat some guys. He's defended it. He beat Lorenzo Hunt, who Lorenzo all the time like to tell everybody that he's the greatest bare knuckle fighter ever and two-time division champ. And Lorenzo's very good, but he had no business going to heavyweight. And it was Mick Terrill's job to do exactly what he did. So Mick obviously has skills. When he beat Arnold Adams was a long time heavyweight champ for the BKFC, and Mick took him out too. So those guys are 1-1. But at the end of the day, Mick's got skills. He's like 9-1 in bare knuckle. the most experienced bare knuckle fighter I have fought. On the flip side, I've been fighting for a long time, and I'm the most experienced fighter he's ever faced. I know he's never faced anything quite like me. So this is a huge step for him, and he's kind of taking it like, I feel like it's going to be a big wake-up call for him. So I'm excited for January 25th because I'm excited to show my skills. I believe he's just tough enough that he's not going to flop on the ground in 45 seconds like Todd Duffy. I think Mick's actually going to let me hit him, and that's going to give the stadium that night what they want to see.
Mm-hmm. Considering the amount of people that you fought, like the Alistair Overeems, the Junior Dos Santos, the list goes on. Do you feel like Mick might be like a little bit intimidated by your resume and your strength of schedule in the UFC?
I try to imagine if I was him, and if I was him, I don't think about it. Because if you do, it's going to be kind of daunting. You know, he's never faced anything. I fought many of these guys. I have faced some of the best fighters in the world. There's no doubt about it. And he hasn't fought one in the MMA realm. You know what I mean? Like, he wanted to fight Mark Hunt. Well, I have fought Mark Hunt. You know, I've lost and I've beat some of the best fighters in the world. But I've been in there, and I've been in there for 5-minute rounds. You know, all I can say is I know what it was like before I did any of that, and what I thought to who I am now that I did it. And I know where Mick's at. He's right where I was when I was a young kid, like thinking he knows. So it's very important for me to give him a proper introduction to what the elite fighting class of the world are all about.
For sure, Ben. And I guess, what does a world championship mean to you? I mean, to get that belt wrapped around your waist, I feel like maybe at this point of your career, maybe you're fighting more towards money. But how would you feel about having the championship wrapped around your waist?
This fight is actually more about the belt than it is about the money. There's a whole bunch into it I'm not going to get into. It's personal. It's private. I'm being compensated. But this is about the belt. I'm honored. I'm privileged. This is David Feldman's home city. This is his hometown, home state. They denied the BKFC for many years. So this is a big, you know, kind of like a lot of things for him and the company. This means a lot for the BKFC and all the employees like that have believed in this and have built it, taken this thing to a place that people only dreamed about a few years ago. And now look at it. And we're going on this card. So for me to be on this card, that alone is a big commendment to me. Like, I'm honored, and I really want to perform. But on top of it, I get to fight for the BKFC heavyweight title. Yeah, cherry on top. I want to be their champ. And they've known it since I came. I didn't want to just come in. I wanted to come take over because I believe I can be a champ in the heavyweight division that they've long been waiting for. And for me, it's a world title. It's something, you know. So it could open up a lot of doors and give me more to talk about. And, you know, maybe you'll get more out of my social media then.
Mm-hmm. I asked Jeremy Stevens the same question a few days ago, but how much more fun has it been being in the BKFC, having a lot more freedom, having a lot more theatrics, having the company kind of at your back supporting you? How much more fun has it been than, to say like the UFC or other promotions?
There's an excitement because I feel like there's a lot of untapped potential in a lot of areas in this. Like you said, the freedom. I don't feel like we've even got to tap into like a real introduction or a walkout. I feel like we can really play around with some things. There was talks that they might go to Japan someday. I'm like, put me on that card because I think we could bring more theatrics and really get the arena excited, explore those things, explore letting guys be, the personalities. Taking a little bit. What we're doing is we're taking little bits of what works from the other companies. Obviously, there's things that we take from the UFC, but I think there's things in WWE that we could bring in that I longed for when I was in the UFC. I was like, please let us do it. And the head brass wanted nothing to do with it. They hate it. Well, now you're starting to see them, now that the WWE is a part of it, you're starting to see that change a little bit. But not as like we can do it. Like we can really, really jump on it. We're the real thing. We're really hitting each other. But now let's bring the theatrics with it. I think it would really just separate us from everybody by doing a little bit of everything.